You might have noticed that in recent years the UK's roads have become crammed with crossovers. The Nissan Qashqai, such as the one you see here, is largely responsible for that. That's because as a crossover, the Qashqai is one of the first cars to combine the good bits of a hatchback like the low running costs and easy driving dynamics with the chunky styling and raised driving position of an SUV. The car we're looking at today is the Mk2 Qashqai, which was launched in 2014. Now, unlike the Mark 1, this is only available with 5 seats, whereas the Mark 1 could be had with 5 seats or 7 seats. Now we'll have a look at the boot, because it is one of the neat features of the Qashqai in that not only is it spacious, you can get a baby buggy and some shopping in there, but it's got these clever little panels here. So you can, for example, slot them in underneath to create a bit more load space. You can raise them again to have a flat loading lip, and there's also the option to drop it in like that, and that way if you've got a shopping bag you don't want to fall over, then it will hold them in place. Last but not least, if you have them both up, not only do you get this flat low lip as I said, but there's also, it's somewhere you can store your valuables. Left in the raised position, the boot floor also ensures a flat load bed when you lower the rear seats. Now, despite most Qashqais spending about as much time going off-road as, I don't know, I do going to the barbers, what it does mean is you get this tall body, and that in turn means headroom is excellent. There's a really good amount of leg room here. If you're up to 6 foot tall, you're not going to have any problems at all. Parents, meanwhile, will appreciate these easy to access Isofix mounting points, which means that clipping in a car seat is a piece of rice cake. Compared with earlier Qashqais, the Mark II's dashboard is also a real step up in both design and quality. That's especially so if you opt for a facelift Qashqai from 2017 onwards, although even earlier cars like this one are really nicely made inside, all come with a touchscreen, and the heater controls are really easy to use. Speaking of which, do make sure the air conditioning works properly, because some cars have suffered from leaking condensers and regassing is not cheap. Be sure to give the touchscreen a good prod too, as some owners have experienced faults with things like storing radio stations. In terms of the driving experience, the Qashqai is more car-like than an SUV in many ways. For example, the steering is really precise and direct, it doesn't lean too much in corners, and rather than being soft and wallowy, the suspension feels taut and well controlled without being too firm. One thing to be aware of though is that visibility isn't perfect. These wide windscreen pillars, for example, can obstruct your view at junctions, and there's big over-the-shoulder blind spots too. As such, you might want to look for a car with a reversing camera or parking sensors, although make sure that the sensors work, because they're known to suffer from water ingress. The Qashqai is also really impressive for the way it shuts out wind and road noise, which makes it very agreeable over a long journey. The petrol and the diesel engines are very smooth, with the latter outnumbering the former on the used market by about 2 to 1. For that, you can thank the impressively low running costs of the 1.5 litre diesel in particular, which returns around 55 miles per gallon in normal driving and is free to tax. Opt for that engine and you need to factor in it's going to need a new cam belt every 75,000 miles or 5 years, and that's going to cost you about £500. Now, diesel particulate filters don't seem to be an issue with the Mark II Qashqai at the moment. However, it's still good practice to take the car on a long run a few times a month just to make sure it doesn't become clogged. If you prefer petrol power, the turbocharged 1.2 is a good bet, even if it does feel a little bit underpowered on the motorway. Also be aware of that engine that some owners have experienced a problem with the stop-start system, so just be sure that's working as part of your test drive. Most Qashqais are front-wheel drive and feature a manual gearbox, but you can opt for all-wheel drive or a CVT automatic if you think either would be useful. Just be aware that doing so will push up prices, as they only feature on higher trim levels. As with any used car, we'd recommend buying your Qashqai from a top-rated dealer, thus helping to ensure that you get a genuine example and a great customer service experience. And that, of course, is where CarGurus dealer ratings are invaluable. What's more, by ranking search results not just by the lowest price, but by the best deals, CarGurus' unique algorithms bring more transparency to the car buying process. So there you have it, a few useful pointers to help in your search for a used Nissan Qashqai. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Oh, that's nice.